We last left Bunny Hop, the lamancha dairy goat, as she was tucked into her warm, dry kidding stall on a cold, rainy, wintry night. She had been experiencing several telltale signs of impending labor, and both of us were so excited to finally welcome the first lamancha kids born on our farm after almost an entire year of owning the lamancha herd. This birth was extremely special to me because we had just recently had the very unfortunate loss of our lamancha herd sire, Cash. These babies were his, and I planned to keep a son out of him to continue his amazing show and milk lines. Bunny Hop also has amazing papers. I was planning to get a milk test done for her so she could get her milk star as a 6th-star milker. I knew that even if she gave birth overnight that she would be an amazing mom and know what to do. This was her second kidding, and she was so eager to lick some brand new babies clean and dry. She didn't end up giving birth overnight, which was great. I really wanted to be present for this birth. After chores, I came back inside and kept an eye on my baby monitor, which was pointed directly at Bunny Hop in her stall. I noticed that she was pacing and pawing the ground. She seemed anxious and wasn't pawing the ground in order to settle in for a nap. She was officially in labor. We were both ready. I grabbed my birth bag and went down to sit with her and monitor things. Bunny Hop had been almost avoiding me for days. She was so irritated with me, constantly checking on her tail ligaments and firmness of her udder. But now, she could not get enough of me. I wasn't able to really even sit in the stall next to her because all she wanted to do was shower me with kisses, and at more than one point I swore she was going to lay down on me and give birth straight into my lap. Bunny Hop finally decided it was time to lay down, and this is when her demeanor changed. She had been happily munching on hay and ruminating in between contractions and licking my hand, and all of that suddenly stopped. She no longer was trying to lay in my lap. She stopped chewing her cud. She got a dazed look on her face, and it seemed like she almost just checked out. At first, this didn't worry me. I assumed she was just finally close to delivery and was feeling the major changes going on as her baby got closer to being born. I gave her a dose of oral calcium and some red raspberry leaf tea to make sure that she had what she needed to keep contracting effectively. I checked the time, 3 p.m. I needed to see her ruminate, or chew her cud, in the next half hour, or I would have to seriously consider giving her an internal check to make sure that things were going okay. Sometimes goat kids can get tangled up inside and are unable to be born without help. Goats are prey animals and don't show distress in many ways, but one of the ways you are able to tell if a goat in labor or otherwise has some sort of thing wrong with them is if they stop ruminating. I have a book I like to reference when I have questions about goats, especially during the labor process. In this book, the author suggests checking a doe if she hasn't been chewing her cud at all for 30 minutes. I like to give an extra 30 minutes here on our farm, as I don't love intervening in birth unless I really have to. A half hour of no ruminating keeps me on high alert, and an hour of no ruminating means I definitely need to check things out. We got to the 1 hour mark, so I decided to check. Oddly, she didn't feel like she was at the stage of labor I thought she would be. I expected to reach in and find tangled kids, but what I found was a partially open cervix with what felt like 2 kid noses on the other side. I did feel some teeth. My book says that sometimes the cervix won't dilate properly or fully if the kids are not positioned ideally and can't put adequate pressure on the cervix in order to dilate it. I slowly worked on manually dilating her cervix like my book said to do, and each time I put a new glove on and went in to manipulate the cervix, I could tell that we were making good progress. She was dilating and tolerating things very well. A fully dilated cervix should be about the diameter of a fist. Bunny Hop and I worked well together, and eventually I was able to pass my hand through the cervix to try to locate and untangle the kids. I really thought I felt 2 noses, and I pushed one baby back like I had done in previous births on smaller goats. Bunny Hop had a lot more room in her womb than I was expecting, and the kids were remarkably hard to reach. I have never assisted a large breed doe in delivery before, only Nigerian dwarves, but I thought with all the extra room in there that this should be easier, and it wasn't. And I didn't know why. I could feel one head and one foot, and I knew it was important to verify and make sure that the leg that I positioned alongside the head was in fact the leg that belonged to the kid with that same head. In order to do this, you feel along the side of the baby's face, down their neck, and to their shoulder, and to that leg. I could not get that far. I literally was elbow deep inside Bunny Hop, and I could only barely touch the eye sockets of the baby. So, the one leg I felt, I decided to pull on so I could bring the baby forward and get a better idea. Because I can't push both of my hands into her, this was not an easy task. Every time I brought the baby forward and tried to feel the leg and the relationship it had with the face, the baby slipped back. After several tries, Bunny Hop was getting tired. I tried to feed her and give her water, but she refused. After another break, I decided I was going to just get the leg out, assume that the head was the head that it belonged to, and see if we could get the baby to engage in Bunny Hop's pelvis. Bunny Hop was not helping push at all. She was being very tolerant of my assistance, but she was unable to help me. I tugged on the leg and could not bring the baby into the canal. He just wouldn't go. The baby didn't feel overly huge to me, so it was really bizarre. It was like there was an invisible wall there preventing the baby from coming out. I decided to push him back into the womb and look for the other kid. Maybe that one would be easier to sort out and get out, but I couldn't actually ever find the other head again. I have no idea where that kid went. The inside of her uterus did not feel normal to me at this point, and when I brought my hand out to give her a break, bright red clots appeared. Bunny Hop seemed exhausted and would not stand. At this time, I decided to call our vet. By this time, it was after 5 p.m., so the emergency line was all I had. Our close vet that we have semi-locally isn't well versed in goat care, but at this point, I couldn't do anything else. It turns out that vet number 1, defers their after-hours calls to another vet who doesn't work on livestock, just cats and dogs. I do have a vet that I load my goats up and drive to, who does a wonderful job with goats, but she lives over an hour away from my farm. I knew she wouldn't be able to come out to the farm, but hoped that she would have some advice. She guided me through her process of making sure the leg goes with the head of the goat, and I told her I simply cannot reach it. The kid was too far down. She asked if I had administered oxytocin, but I don't have that in my birth kit. It's a prescription. The only other thing that she could really think to do, which was super helpful, was try to locate a goat-specific vet closer to me that would be able to come out and assist. She gave me the phone number to the vet that she found, who I promptly called twice. No answer either time. No option for leaving a message either. So, with no ability for vet assistance and no strength left in my 220-pound goat in order to walk her in the freezing rain and ankle-deep mud to my minivan to load her up and travel to the faraway vet, I decided to take a deep breath and keep trying. There wasn't anything else I could do. This time, when I reached inside Bunny Hop, I felt intestines. Bunny Hop's intestines. We have processed enough deer on our farm, and I've assisted enough births on our farm to be 1,000% sure that her uterus was ruptured. I have no idea when it happened or how. It just was. This was a big hole, and there was no surviving this. She was bleeding inside and very weak. I had one option left. I couldn't save Bunny Hop, but I could try to save her baby. Back to my book. There's a section in here about emergency C-sections. They are only to be done on farm in situations like this where there's no options and the life of the doe cannot be saved. There's medications that can be given to euthanize the doe before the procedure, but I don't have those. But I do have a gun. Once the animal is shot in the head, you have to work quickly. The kids are located on the right side of the doe, just in front of the back leg in the flank. I had a scalpel and some clamps for the umbilical cords, and my book, which gives very specific instructions. To perform the cesarean, lay the doe on her right side, with her left side facing up. The cut through the animal's flank should be made at a right angle to the spine, just in front of the hind leg and pelvis. Make the incision in several shallow cuts so as not to accidentally cut too deep and hurt a kid. The first layer will be skin, the second the abdominal wall, and the third is the lining of the abdominal cavity called the peritoneum. You can then reach in and find the uterus. Make a careful cut through the uterine wall and locate and remove the kid. Quickly clean the kid's nose. Then clamp or tie the cord in 2 places and cut, using a knife, a scalpel, or scissors. Immediately check for other kids. There will be a lot of amniotic fluid and blood. Once all the kids are delivered, the kids should be dried and fed colostrum. You may be able to harvest colostrum from the doe, although she may not have produced much or any. So, for the life of me, I could not find the kids. And At that point, I sat and I looked at her and I realized she was on the wrong side. This book has a typo. The goat's rumen, which is where they ferment their food and break down the things that they eat, is on the left side. There's a saying that goes, lunch on the left, rugrats on the right. This book says to place the dough on her right side with the left side up, and that's the rumen side. The kids would then be closer to the ground. That's the wrong side. I don't blame the author of this book for anything. For all I know, that really might be the correct protocol, but for the life of me, I could not find the kids. So I flipped her over and did the same procedure on the right side, and I did find the baby. Our little legacy buck was gone, and so was his beautiful mother. I searched around for the other kid. I swear, at first there were two. The other kid was nowhere. It was like an enigma. I even went back into her birth canal with my hand, trying to see if I could locate it in a way that I'm more familiar with, but I couldn't. Either the other baby never existed, or it got lost in her cavity somewhere through the rupture. I never found it. I tried to give the little buckling CPR, but he would not revive. He looked exactly like his daddy.